Hi, goalies, goalie coaches, and goalie parents. Welcome to the Goalie Podcast. I'm joined with my sidekick, John Corrado. John, how are we doing today?
Have another great day.
Awesome. So John is a former goalie coach at Northeastern University, at Merrimack College and Boston College. My name is Brian DeCord, and I am a former goalie coach of the Boston Bruins, a goalie scout of the Toronto Maple Leafs, a goalie director of the Arizona Coyotes, and currently a goalie coach at Boston University. And John, we started our summer podcast that ended up into part 2. And now we're into part 3 of the same podcast.
It's funny now when we were talking about it. I've been out of it for 2 years with the injuries and stuff. I forgot how many programs we have to offer, and the variety we have to offer, and so I think it's great to talk about them all.
So I want to talk about the off ice component, and not necessarily, what we do, but just overall in general, what the kids should be doing. So if I said to you, John, obviously, let's say that 8 to 14-year-old is in one bracket, and would I be safe to say, just go play some different sports, guys?
100%. You look at some of the upper level athletes in all sports, not just hockey. They have a great athletic background in general, and there's so many sports available right now. Soccer is great to work the feet. Lacrosse is great for the hand-eye coordination. I'm a big fan of tennis in the off season. Baseball, again, for situational awareness, and it's more of a mental game to think a step or two ahead of the play. There's so many different sports you go out there and play, and not only playing the sports, it's a whole different social setting. You get to meet different kids, different people. So I strongly encourage playing another sport.
It's just good for the brain, right? The sights and the sounds and just different environments. It's not always the same thing. And then now we get to the older, that next group of kids. So that's that 14, let's call it that 14 to 18-year-old. And we're now into an era where, when in the summertime, when I used to go home, I used to get your Gold's Gym membership for the summer. And now it's a completely different thought process and training process for these kids.
Oh, there's, like I said, there's so many things available, going on, and there's so many different options they have to think about, and then depend upon their size and their strength and their familiarity with weight training or yoga training. Like, there's so many things they have to learn, and like you said, when we were younger, it was just go hit the gym and do whatever you felt comfortable with. But now there's so much specialized training for the kids, so they got to get a base of knowledge to make the right decisions.
Would you agree with me on this comment? Like, if you're serious about the position, you're signing up for a summer-long off-ice training program at a development center, at a strength and conditioning center. You're just not going on your own anymore, or else I don't know how you can keep up with these guys that are getting trained properly.
Well, I'm agreeing with you 100%, because not only do you need the knowledge that's provided with specific workouts, you need the technique of how to lift properly so you don't get injured. You need all the other stuff. Well, like, they'll encourage rest and recovery, like all these terms that you might have heard but you're not familiar with, or how to apply them. Absolutely. And on top of that, they teach you that you're not just an athlete in the weight room. You're almost what we call a 24/7 athlete. You're going to learn about nutrition. You're going to learn about sleeping patterns. You're going to learn about all the things that are going to, optimize yourself as an athlete.
Yeah, I think, I just think the days of just going to work out are over for elite athletes. And I think there's so much knowledge now. There's so much science, and it's so widely known. There's not a lot of secrets anymore. And I just think that, if you're going to be, an elite athlete, you're going to have to get in the training system where you're going to build your body and maximize that time, because the season's so just darn long now that it's a short window to get ready.
Well, we have one of my friends that I coached a long time ago. Again, he's now with the Utah Hockey Club, Devin McConnell. He mentions that, like, everybody thinks you're building up. You're building to maintain throughout a season. You have to learn how your body works, how to keep a certain level of performance throughout the year. And so it's not just bulking up for the summer. It's maintenance, it's repair, it's recovery, and then you're building up so you can sustain a whole season without getting injured.
I'm a big fan of training programs that are very specific and dialed in. We do our own here at the Pad. It's called the Pad Pass. It's also included in the Be a Pro program and the Ultimate program, but it's really, just to explain my train of thought here, John, I just don't think it's about getting in the gym. I think there's more to goalie and some of the needs that we have. Specifically, every day it's a little bit different for us because, on Tuesdays we bring in a capoeira instructor. This guy's world class and Messer's unbelievable. But it's the fact that, it's Brazilian martial arts. It's 1 day a week for an hour, and your body's doing different things. There's rhythm to it, and there's a ton of external rotations. And I remember when we first introduced it, some of the goalies were, "Oh, this is really hard." It's like, yeah, because your internal rotations all day long on the ice. Now we've got you doing external rotations to offset all those internal rotations. I think it's tremendous.
I think what's always benefited our programs throughout the year is, like you just said, bringing in something new, bringing in something different, challenging the goaltenders, get them thinking differently. And with each instructor comes a different type of discipline related to their specialty. And the goaltenders get to see another trainer, if you will, somebody else teaching what they do. And I think it's to expose the goaltenders to all those different types of training and trainers and people. I think it's a tremendous asset.
And it's not just about the skill, like the quickness and the athleticism and balance you get from capoeira, but there's a health factor to me. It's a hip health. It's getting the body doing different things, and that's why we bring in Kim every year, Kim Johnson, for the yoga. Every Wednesday is yoga day here, and once again, it's about that hip health. It's about taking care of the body and the mind.
Well, yoga does that. That yoga is fantastic for that alone. Is just the, not only, like I said, getting the body moving, the mechanics and everything, but just the relaxation that Kim brings to the program. Like when the goalies walk out of the yoga studio that we have, they almost look like they're in another world. They're so relaxed. Mm-hmm. But the workout they get, and like you said, the maintenance and the taking care of the body. I remember the first year we did that, we were having some goalies that were, legs were tired. They were feeling fatigued, and we were only skating 2 or 3 days a week. So we brought Kim in years ago, and we haven't had a goalie miss a session, I think, since. And they're as good the last week of the summer as they were the first week. And it's just one of those things that they've learned to add that to their game, add that to their off season training.
Yeah, she's awesome. One of the things that, look, there's so many good programs out there. We're not the only ones. There's in our area, there's so many great programs that do a great job. And what we try to do is we try to focus it on what the goalie needs, right? What we need. Now in the weight room in UFIT, they do an awesome job. Joey, my son Joey DeCord, he's been working out here since he's been 14 years old, and he still comes every summer. He works with Dan. If he has a break, he comes here. He works with Dan. So. Dan Newton heads that with Kelly, and they do a great job. But, one of the things that you talk about, bringing something new, doing something new, it's our relationship with Marchese Sports Therapy, I think, is an absolute game changer for goalies.
So I'm gonna jump in for a second. He's been instrumental in my recovery from my hip surgeries. I was going to a regular PT appointments just to get my basics down. You recommended coming in to see him during my rehab, and I can't say enough things about him. He's got me doing what we call a lot of micro movements, small movements to build up stabilizing secondary muscles. And there were so many things I was not aware of, how I was moving for a couple of years, were offsetting and creating muscle fatigue, or the body wasn't centered the way it should. He basically had to teach me how to walk. So I had a proper gait and movement and getting me pain free. So the knowledge he has of not just the body, how it works itself, but how the mind is functioning, relating to the body. He got me thinking of so many different things I hadn't thought of before. He also had so many answers to questions that I had that I wasn't even sure how to ask him to my regular PT. I can't say enough good things about him.
And the way he tackles the goalies, and he's got, what he's done is he's identified 5 issues that goalies have that we can't fix on the ice. And it's remarkable to me. I think about a goalie in net, and you're doing a drill, and you're off center. Hey, you're not on your angle. Hey, you're not on your line. Hey, you're off center. You say it a million times as a coach. Okay. And John goes, Dak, you're out of your mind. Like, one of their eyes are more dominant than the other eye. And therefore, that goalie, in his brain, he thinks he's on angle. His brain's telling him, I'm perfectly square. But he's not, because he's got one eye more dominant than the other. And then that's such a big part of this program, is John's identified 5 things like that he can help goalies with. And it's a matter of anywhere, 4 weeks. 4 weeks, you can make a dramatic impact on being able to correct someone that has, an issue like that. And it's funny, like, he's done it with a number of our bridge kids. It's actually simple.
Well, you mentioned John there. You mentioned Kim. You've mentioned our Capoeira instructor. You're bringing in world-class people to this facility to work with goaltenders. It's I don't want to say we take for granted, but we see these people every day. But any goalie that's going to walk in the facility and meet these people, they're going to be instantly impressed with the knowledge they have for the specific training they're giving you. I mean, I don't know where else you're going to find all this information at one spot and all these people at one spot. And I'm always amazed when, the people that come through here and how they become part of the program. And then all of a sudden, year after year, people are requesting, the goalies are coming back with summer. Is Kim going to be back? Oh, it's first time I work with John. I really like working with him. He's coming. He's going to be here again. It's just, they become part of the goalie family we have here.
Yeah, it's remarkable. I'll tell you a couple other things that John identified. So this, we haven't talked much about this, John, but you're gonna bang your head against the wall on this one, because so you got a shot going to the glove hand. Okay, the goalie looks at it, catches it. That same exact shot to the blocker, the goalie slides to make a blocker save. So you say, as a coach, hey, this isn't a butterfly slide drill. Just make the save. Here's another shot, glove, boom. Blocker, slide. And I'm like, I get frustrated as a coach because, geez, they're not paying attention or whatnot. I don't realize that they have spatial awareness. They understand where their hand is in space, but they don't understand where their blocker is in space. Their brain and their blocker hand not connected. So that's what John works on. And it's fascinating. It could be the other way. It could be your left foot. It could be your right foot. It could be your glove hand, whatever it is. Another one. And so it's so funny. I'm like going crazy trying to correct things, not realizing it's all neuro-based. And then the other thing that it's fascinating, I forget the term for it, but as a goalie all the time, we have to be able to rotate and move our shoulders without moving our hips, or vice versa. Okay. Think about it. Post integration, your hips are facing up ice, but your shoulders are facing the corner. Okay. It's a primitive reflex. Some goalies, some people can't do it. It's something they should have grown out of and developed when they were kids, but some people, they don't. So some people, you could correct them 100 times saying, look, you got to break your shoulders and your hips. You got to break your shoulders and your hips. You can say it all the time. But if the brain can't do it, then we're just spinning wheels in terms of trying to coach it on the ice.
Well, it's funny. I remember when John talking to me about it, he's saying that we have to get goalies in a heightened sense of being alert without putting them in survival mode.
Yep.
I said, John, what do you mean by that? He goes, most of the time when a person's in survival mode, they're tense and their body doesn't move the way they want it to because they're tense. It says there's a difference between being alert and being so tense that you react late or you react in a movement that's not natural to your body. And it's like you said, when you talk to him, you learn so many things that when he explains, like, that makes sense now. And you have those pictures, like those frames in your mind where you're doing a drill. This makes sense why the drill didn't work the way I thought it would, or why this individual goaltender couldn't perform the drill the way I wanted.
It's like the startle reflex. I forget the official name of it, but so it's amazing. We had a goalie this year, and I'm filming the drill. So I get this close up. I'm going to make this great film. And I didn't mean to do this, but I hit slow-mo instead of the regular video. And it was a glove drill. And it was in slow-mo. The shot is about to be taken. The glove goes this way, up, and then the shot gets taken, then the glove goes down. So it's a primitive reflex. It's protection, right? A loud sound, someone about to shoot. It's this protection mode where your hands are going to come up and to protect your face on the shot. And the kids don't even realize that they do it. So they get beat by that shot 2 feet to the glove, and their glove doesn't get there. It's because their glove's first movement was up and in, as opposed to just staying there and going for the shot. And I got this on super slow-mo. It's like 3 shots in a row, the exact same thing. It was incredible. And once again, in about 4 weeks, it was done. John worked with him for 4 weeks, done. No. And what did we call this? If a kid was on the ice, he's 14 years old, he does that, you would say as a coach, oh, he's scared of the puck. He's not scared of the puck. His brain's protecting him. He's not scared.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. We just take it for granted because we've been coaching and playing for so long where your hand positioning is, and every now and then you just got to get hit by a shot. But if you think back to when we probably first started, 5, 6, 7 years old, of course that's a natural reaction. Like you were saying, something's coming at your head or your shoulders.
At you.
Yeah, you're going to put your hands up and protect yourself. But here we are as coaches trying to teach the total opposite of what is a natural response for a young kid. And again, when it just goes back to when John explains something like that, it makes so much more sense. You have more patience with the goalies you're coaching. You get a different perspective, and it helps you. It makes you a better coach.
Yeah. The other thing, which is fascinating, you'll love this one. So we're talking about Sway. And we're talking about Sway's ability to do a complete split while keep his body upright up over the puck. And I'm like, and this is before John came in here, and this is what sold me on John and why I knew we needed to get him in the building. I go, oh my God, can you imagine how much time Sway spent on flexibility? And he's like, yeah, kind of. And I'm like, what do you mean, kind of? He goes, no, that's neurological. That's his brain. I go, what? I don't understand. He goes, yeah, your brain is there to protect you. Doing a complete split and ripping your groins apart, the brain's not going to let you do that. But if you train and you train your brain to let the body go, now you can do a split. But your brain's not going to let you do a split unless you can train it to let you make that movement.
Well, it's funny. I was talking to some about similar to that. We're talking about, like, as kids, we watch so much hockey and we just mimic moves that we saw. And he was saying that's your brain telling you that it's okay to do that because that's just what you're supposed to, because you see somebody else doing it. And he says the ability to mimic certain things that you see is something that's learned as well. And you just kind of take for granted that, oh, this pro goalie can do this.
Yeah.
You try doing it too, because you think, that's what you're supposed to do, is train the brain a different way, as opposed to if you've never seen it done and you see it done once, you're like, oh, I don't know if I can do that.
And the cool thing is, like, it's so obvious to me. And that's why, like, there's other great places to go to train. But what we can do for goalies at the pad, I don't know anybody that can do this. Like I don't know who touches being able to provide all the different ways that we can make these guys better over the summer. And with the addition of Marchese with John there and the whole neurological aspect, I just think I can't understand if you're high end goalie, how you can't want to do it, right? How you can't. I say, hey, there's one. Every goalie is going to have one. I mean, we had our one of the BU goalies come in and get tested the other day, right? And it's like, hey, I can't tell you what it was, but John was like, hey, I don't know how he stops this kind of shot. He can't stop it. And I'm like, you're 100% right. You like, he nailed it. Never seen him play goalie before. Knew exactly what his problem was on the ice. It was remarkable.
Well, again, what he does is just it's next level to me when you talk to him. And you've talked about all the people in the building, which are tremendous. I don't know if you focus on the G Lab, which is to me on it's its own thing alone. That you see the how the goalies improve from the beginning of the summer to the end of the summer, and I don't know anywhere else that has training like that, and specifically what the G Lab does.
Without a doubt, and it's so interesting because you have your naysayers. So the G Lab, just in case you're not familiar with the G Lab, we have, $100,000 worth of cognitive training equipment downstairs. And what we're doing is we're training processing speed, executive function, reaction time. And I love the naysayers on this, John. I love this. Well, yeah, they get good at hitting lights, but that doesn't help them stop a puck. Okay. Now look, okay. Let's just give in on that one, John. Yeah, you're right. That doesn't help them stop a puck. But I'll tell you what, when you increase your ability to track objects on a neuro tracker by 187%, it's not just because you can track objects and lights. It's because you can maintain focus. Because if you lose focus for 1 second while you're doing the neuro tracker, you're done. Like you can't advance, you can't improve. So the fact that our goalies are improving that much on the neuro tracker, the reflection board, the synaptic, they're improving that much. Their ability to focus is improving dramatically, which to me, you cannot tell me that doesn't correlate 100% to being on the ice and playing a hockey game.
Well, I get the question asked all the time. What separates goaltenders at certain levels? Like what separates a Division III from a Division I goalie? What separates a junior B goalie from a major junior goalie, an AHL from a pro? I just simply say, and it's after the last 5 years, after watching goalies for years, it's the ability to process information quickly.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that ability and you haven't learned it somewhere, you're only going to hit a certain level and you won't be able to maximize it. That goes back to what you're just talking about with the G Lab. It's giving you so much more tools to use neurologically that you might not even be aware that you were lacking in.
Yeah.
And it gives you that ability, like you said, to focus, to increase processing speed and awareness. Is what the G Lab does alone to me is worth the price of walking in the building. And then you add all the other people that are part of the building. It's like you said, it's a no-brainer if you want to train at an upper level and have all this stuff available to you under one roof.
Yeah. So we're lucky because we have it all one roof. But if you're not in our area, it doesn't mean you can't sign up for a capoeira class or a yoga class or a karate class or do something. You know what I mean? Like you have that for you. You don't have a visual training center, a cognitive training center in your area. Visual Edge does a great job. You can do that. It's an online deal. You can get set up that way. So I don't want to make it seem like we're just promoting what we do here. We're promoting the concept and the methodology that we have in terms of how we want to develop goalies and no stone unturned. Like we got to find ways to make our body and our mind better, not just going on the ice and doing 2 sessions a week.
Well, if you want to talk about other resources that are available, that one that we have here, but some they can also get in their own. In Goal Magazine talks about it all the time. Sens Arena. And
Yeah.
can you think of it? Can you
Without
think
a
of a
doubt.
better product? And what they always mention when I listen to their podcasts, they always mention the younger goalies have bought into it. The younger goalies in the NHL have really bought into
Yeah.
it. And
Not
they've
the older
seen
guys. The older guys didn't. The younger guys did. Yeah, the younger guys
and they've
did not
seen their
even.
game and they've seen their game improve, and they're able to assume a starting role in an NHL team quicker than expected because they're using it. And that's a product that has been around probably 3, 4, 5 years, but it keeps getting better each year. The
Every
graphics on it,
year.
the
Hey, you know what's
situation
coming,
play.
John? I'll tell you what's coming. Continuous play is coming. That means taking a shot, following the rebound, getting a second shot, play goes down the other and play goes back. We're getting so close to replicating a game. And what that means is it's coming, guys. Watch this. You have an issue with games played. You're the backup goalie. You're the third string goalie. You can't make the varsity team, so you're playing junior varsity games and you only get 12 games instead of getting 24 games, whatever it is. You're going to be able soon to make up your games played on virtual reality. And
Well,
it's going to be huge because there's a concentration factor that goes into playing games.
Well, absolutely. One of the things we always a stat we always track with goaltenders when we're trying to predict the level of success they have is games played.
Yeah.
And if you're not getting them on the ice and you can all of a sudden get them and with a VR simulation type of thing, that's again, that's next level stuff that goalies will have available to them.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many things. John, this has been awesome. You know what? I want to do a part 4. Okay.
There's so much information. I don't see why not.
So much to go. I want to do a part 4. And in part 4, you know what I want to talk? I want to talk about different modalities and different things that you can do away from the rink. Red light therapy, sauna. Let's get into that. Not today, but let's get into hyperbaric chamber. Let's get into all the different things that you can do away from the rink to make you a better athlete, better person.
I would love to explore that. Like you said, there's so many things out there, and just to touch on each of them so the goalies, again, have more knowledge and more choice available to them. That's a great idea, and I look forward to that.
Hey, just a teaser, John. Joey does PRI, Posterior Restorative Institute, and he told me, he says, never let another one of your goalies get surgery before you have them try this. So it's just a little teaser on that. So, all right, we'll plan a part 4 of our summer series.
Looking forward to it.
Okay. Thanks, John. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. If you don't have the Stop It Goaltending U app, everything, this podcast is on it. You would not believe there's more information that we have there than you can believe. And on top of the Stop It Goaltending U app, anybody who signs up with our app, we give them a free subscription, premium subscription to In Goal Magazine. And that's because we just believe in In Goal Magazine and the value and the combination of Stop It Goaltending U and the In Goal Magazine premium membership. Like this, if you want to be better, there's nothing you can do more for your goalie IQ, growing your goalie IQ, than that combination. Thank you very much. I look forward to seeing you the next time.
Thank you very much.
I hope you enjoyed the Goalie Podcast by Stop It Goaltending U. If you haven't already downloaded the Stop It Goaltending U app, you can get your free 7-day trial at either the App Store or Google Play.